Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on home buying and selling in the digital age, featuring Jeff Kohl of Google. My name is Shannon Shimabukuro. I'm a senior market leader trainer, and I'd like to welcome you all to this Powerhouse Hour, where you're going to learn everything it takes and everything the consumers are really thinking about in the early stages before they come to you. Now, here at Market Leader, one of the things we pride ourselves in doing is our fabulous training and education. So we've flown in Jeff from, well, he's probably flown himself in from New York City. He's currently an account executive for Google. He specializes in digital advertising sales for the real estate industry, and he has many, many years of experience working in marketing and consumer analytics. So we're very lucky to have such an expert with us today. He'll be here to answer all of your questions at the end of the call. But first, what he's going to do is he's going to walk you through the first 2 sections out of 3 total sections of a study that Google did in conjunction with NAR. So this study is going to focus on, we're going to focus on today the first 2 sections. At the end of the webinar, you will be emailed the full study. So every screenshot you see today, you don't need to take vigorous notes and get writer's cramp because we're going to send that to you later. But just know we're going to focus on the first 2 sections, the online path to purchase, as well as consumer demographics and offline trends. So we're focusing on the early stages of what people are thinking about before they come to you. And as you may or may not know, Market Leader, what we really do is we help you after you get those leads. So we help you capture those leads and convert them into your actual client. So this is going to be a perfect complement for those of you that are working with internet leads already, and Jeff's going to get you in their mind. So Jeff, without further ado, oh, and just to let you know also, we'll plug in implications for you. So what did this study mean to you? How is it relevant to your business? How can you use this information? And at the end, there will be a live Q&A with Jeff where you can ask him your questions. So we are manning this question and answer live today. So if you want to chat in a question earlier, feel free to do that. And it looks like somebody came on. I need to mute them. All right. So you're welcome to chat in your questions throughout today's call. We do have a great staff here online to help answer your questions. But again, we're not going to be able to get to your live questions until the end. So without further ado, let me introduce Jeff. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Shannon. Really great to be here today. I'm really excited to share with you the study that we did with NAR. So last year, Google and NAR collaborated to understand the Uber-connected home shopper. And throughout the study today, I want to share some online real estate behavior and data that we collected across multiple channels, whether it be via search, video, mobile devices, and that's really what we're going to focus on today.
Sorry, Jeff, before we get started, I forgot to unmute myself. How is this information populated?
So there were 3 data sources that we used. One was the NAR profile of home buyers and sellers survey. Roughly 8,500 applicants or home buyers and sellers filled out the survey, and that's the data we're using. We're using Google internal data and trends relating to the real estate industry, and we're also using a Google and Compete study. And Compete is a research company that we worked with to track the behavior of how real estate consumers were behaving online when looking to purchase or sell a home.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
So the first thing I want to talk about today, and it's really important for the rest of our conversation, is how the traditional marketing model has changed. When we talk about what the traditional model was, there was a stimulus. So P&G came up with the first moment of truth, and their stimulus was, I ran out of toothpaste, so I need to go to the store and I need to get more toothpaste. That first moment of truth was when someone walked into the store, they went down to the toothpaste aisle, they looked at all the brands, they looked at all the packaging, where on the shelves the toothpaste was located, they picked one, they checked out, they purchased the toothpaste. And then the second moment of truth is their experience. When they went home, did they enjoy the toothpaste that they were using? Did they, are they going to choose to buy it again? Would they recommend it to a friend? So what's changed, and when we look at real estate, is going to the next slide. So for real estate, the stimulus can be a variety of things. A family might have had a baby. You know, you might have seen a yard sign with in front of your dream home. You might have to move across the country. There's hundreds of reasons why someone might choose to move. So that's your stimulus. Now, Google has come up with the 0 moment of truth. In today's highly connected world, people are researching online, they're watching videos, they're searching for brands, they're reading customer reviews, and they're doing this all on the go on their mobile devices as well. So in real estate, it's really about the customer is researching far in advance before ever contacting an agent. And I think a good story is looking at the car industry. So 10 or 15 years ago, when you were looking to buy a car, you would go into the dealership and start talking to the dealer about what cars are available, what options, so on and so forth. But in today's hyper-connected world, people are going online, they understand, they're researching exactly what model of car they want, all the options, and they're also looking up how much the dealer paid for it, so the price that they should get. It's really changed the marketing model, and the same is true for real estate.
All right. So, Jeff, I think this is a really good time to pull our audience to see if anybody has experienced this in their own life. So we're going to launch a quick poll here, and these are fun. They're going to show up right on your screen. So basically what I want to ask you is, do you currently research online before making a large buying decision? So I'm going to launch this poll, so you just need to click directly on your screen and click yes or no. We'll wait for everyone to have a chance to vote here for the next 15 seconds or so. So we're just curious about everyone today. Are you currently using the internet? Is your 0 moment of truth? Now, before you actually talk to, if you're going to the car, the car lot, are you researching before you go in? And these are for really large purchases. All right, so we're going to give you about 5 more seconds before we close the polls. Give everyone a chance here. All right, so I'm going to close them, and let's take a look, Jeff. What do we see here?
It looks like a large percentage of you are doing the same thing. So 96% are saying yes, that they are researching before making a large purchase. And this is true. I mean, the largest purchase you can make is buying or selling your home. So this is happening in the real estate industry. Now, that first moment of truth is still important. So that's when you meet an agent for the first time, and they walk you through the home buying process. They help you find the perfect home or the house that works for you. And then the second moment of truth is your experience. Did you enjoy the experience? Did the agent make it easy to understand? Did it flow smoothly? Did you get it done in the amount of time that you wanted to purchase a home? And what's really interesting about this new model is that when someone's second moment of truth ends in their experience, they go and share that with other people, whether it be through video testimonials or written reviews, but that now becomes someone else's first point of research in the 0 moment of truth. So that's a really important concept, the 0 moment of truth, that we'll be talking about throughout the rest of today. So the first section is really about how are real estate customers searching. One really interesting fact is that 69% of home shoppers who take action on a real estate brand website begin their search with the local term. So Houston homes for sale on a search engine. So you really want to make sure that you understand that customers are searching locally for real estate based on where they're going to move or the towns that they currently live in. And at Google, we consider searchers to be hand raisers. So these are people that are saying, I want to know more about the real estate industry. I want to know more about a particular home. So an extremely important audience for you as agents.
So Jeff, really quick here, what I just wanted to point out to our audience is, okay, so it looks like, and this is a really interesting study, and I think this is really important, you know, as a real estate trainer and for those of us that are in the industry ourselves and trying to figure out how do we separate ourselves from the competition and really take advantage of the opportunities in today's market. So this 69% stat is astounding of, for us to understand if we're marketing ourselves, are you saying that it's a good idea instead of, for instance, when we blog or do niche marketing, to put in search terms like real estate home for sale, but to also make sure we are really good about including specific areas and specific neighborhoods? And if so, how specific should we get?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it is important to be broad and making sure that you're targeting customers on a broad level. But there's also the opportunity to be very hyper-focused. So if you specialize in homes in Houston or even a neighborhood or certain parts of the city that, you know, locals would know about, it's okay to go and just target at that level, because even a couple leads on those hyper-focused areas could lead to a home sale, and that's what we really want to focus on.
All right, thank you.
All right, so the next section, or this next slide is showing that the customers that are performing a search are more likely to reach out to an agent. So if you look at the left side is people who have searched, the right side is people who did not search, and then when we look at if they contacted a real estate agent or were influenced by a yard sign or went to an open house, we see that people that are searching are much more engaged across the board than those that are not searching or using the internet during their real estate home buying process. And one fact that I want to point out here is that now 9 out of every 10 home buyers are using the internet as a primary research tool before buying a home.
Great. So Jeff, one of the things that, when I look at this, one of the things that really shocks me, and I think it's a perception, it shakes up the perception, I think, from a lot of us that are used to working with internet consumers and a lot of agents that I work with that have this perception of, okay, so it's actually better for me, well, in looking at this data, to work with an internet consumer because they're more likely to engage with an agent compared to, I think what the traditional perception was is internet consumers, they're hard to get a hold of, they're invisible, they choose to contact me when they want to, it's all on their terms, I have less control, and they're less likely to engage with an agent. But this is actually telling us the exact opposite, that internet searchers, and if we capture people early online, are actually more likely to engage with us as an agent in the home buying process. Is that what this is saying?
Yep, that's exactly right. And it really comes down to these people are invested in finding a home, and they're doing that initial research online, but they need an agent to help them through that buying process. So you really want to connect with those people that are searching online and focused on really buying a home.
Thank you.
Yep. This is an interesting stat that I wanted to share, and something that's just you know, true of a lot of industries, but more so in real estate than others, and that is the exponential mobile growth that we have been seeing. So currently at Google, 30% of all real estate related searches come from a mobile device, and that's increased, I think, 4.7 times over the past 2 years. So we've just seen this exponential growth, and that makes sense with the launch and release of so many smartphones and mobile phones, in the on-the-go nature of real estate, people going out and actually looking at homes and working with agents. We've just seen these searches from mobile devices rise incrementally. And it's really important the experience that a customer has with you on a mobile device. So a few things I want to point out here is this is how new home shoppers are using mobile devices, and it's really changed the way that they can interact with agents. So now when you're on a mobile device and you reach an agent site, make sure that all those phone numbers that you have on your site are clickable, so that when I'm looking at a home that I'm interested in, I can just click, call the agent, and be in contact immediately with them. You know, I think it's really great to be brief, so you don't need 3 or 4 paragraphs of a home explanation. People want to be on their mobile device. They want to be able to understand what the property offers and then move forward and look at the next property.
So are you saying here that when we're marketing ourselves that we need to really keep in mind this mobile audience? So it sounds like instead of being as long-winded and being really thorough and telling every little bullet point of every great thing about us and our business and what we bring to the table or benefits to them, it's really key. So keep in mind people are 9 times out of 10 or whatever the stat was, going to be searching on a mobile device. So keep things really short, sweet, to the point, etc.
Give them the highlights, definitely, because we see very short attention spans on mobile. So make sure you're getting the key elements across and the information about yourself, but don't overwhelm them with too much writing and text because they'll just move on to the next page or they'll go back to the search results they were looking at before.
Okay, and Jeff, one quick clarification that came in here. Somebody was asking, are we talking about here new homes for a buyer or a new home for a buyer? So is it specific to the type of home or just the fact that it's new to the buyer?
So in this slide, we're talking about buyers. So someone who hasn't purchased a home yet. So they may have been renting, whatever the case may be, we're talking about people that are buying a home for the first time.
Great. Thank you very much. And so, let's take a quick poll. I think it'd be really interesting to see where our audience is at with really mobile optimized sites, since that seems like it's a pretty big deal right now. So I'm going to launch a quick poll again, and we're going to ask you, do you currently have a mobile optimized real estate website? And I'm just going to give you guys a quick tip. If you're a market leader customer, you can say yes here because we actually do provide all of our agent and broker websites, individual websites, are mobile optimized, and they actually switch the layout. It detects if you're on a mobile phone. So if you're a market leader customer, you can go ahead and select that yes box. All right, so let's give everyone a chance to vote. We'll give them about 5 more seconds. Just click yes, no, or I don't know on your screen. And we're going to close the poll here and share it with the audience. All right, last chance. All right, looks like the survey says, and just for those of you that know, there's more than 5 people on today's call. We're looking at about 450 people today, so this is the number of our poll. What's it say, Jeff?
So it looks like a little under 50% of you have a mobile optimized site, which is great because that user experience on the mobile device is so critical. 30% said no, and I would really make that a priority over the next couple months is how do I get my listings online in a mobile optimized environment? We see that if customers don't have that optimized experience, they quickly jump off to something that is mobile optimized. And if you don't know, this is what I would suggest after the webinar is get a mobile device, go on it, try and look up some of your listings and see if you have to pinch and zoom and it's really hard to read the text, then you probably don't have a mobile optimized site. But if the buttons are clear and easy to understand, then you do. And that's really what customers are looking for. They don't want to spend time trying to, get their glasses out and read text that's so small and pinch and zoom for every option.
Okay, and it looks too like by looking at this graph, one of the things that people typically do on the phone is they can make phone calls and locate a local listing agent. So this tells me that it would be a good idea, too, to try to include our phone numbers so we can do the little one-click to call, which is oftentimes optimized from your phone because then it just connects to your ringer. Is that right?
Yes. Click-to-call options are great, and we really see them work well in the real estate industry. I mean, you have the phone number. You don't have to write it down or plug it in. You just click it, and you're on the line with your agent.
And I think what's great, too, about those of us that are not so tech-savvy as you, Jeff, all we need to do is just put our phone number in the ad, and automatically the phone does all the techie crazy work for us behind the scenes. So we don't even have to think about it. We just put in the phone number as part of our ad or part of our marketing message, and then it's done for us. So I think that's pretty easy.
Exactly. So this is really interesting. This is what we consider a typical family room nowadays. And I just want to point out, everyone on this slide has a screen in front of them. There's even a screen just for the dog, and that's the TV. But this might look like your traditional living room now where people are connected to their mobile phones while watching TV. We see that 36% of new home shoppers use mobile and TV at the same time. And one other fact that I want to share here is that Now, based on our research, now 90% of all media interactions are screen-based, meaning radio, magazine, newspaper, and billboards only make up 10% of the media an average person consumes. So think about that and really make sure you're aligning your marketing messages with how your consumers are behaving, and understand that 90-10 rule that currently exists today.
So based on that, Jeff, I think it's pretty interesting because a lot of us, we're going into the peak spring selling season and home buying season, and people are getting really engaged, and this is the time to really pump up our marketing dollars. So would you say that it's probably a better investment to invest in what type of online avenues, since it sounds like here if 90% of people are using a screen, which means, whether it's a laptop or your phone or an iPad or some sort of tablet device, it's a better investment, and that's where people are going is online. So what types of avenues do you think it'd be a good idea for us to think about in our marketing dollar-wise?
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about fishing where the fish are, right? So if 90% of your customers are spending 90% of their time on those devices, having your marketing budget match that is key. So whether you're advertising for mobile devices, advertising on search and desktop, but make sure your advertising dollars match what your customers are doing. We have a joke at Google sometimes that we're so connected with our phones and our tablets and everything that when we're walking down the street, we're 90% of the time checking our email. If there was a bus that drove by with our face on it, we might not see it because we're looking at our tablets and our cell phones instead of really paying attention to what's in front of us, which is not always great, but, we do what we can.
Great. Thanks very much, Jeff. And it looks like, I apologize for those of you, we left the poll up a little bit longer than we intended. So this is the previous graph that we were showing when we were talking about, making sure your phone number is on your ad, and these are the types of, just different types of ways you can get leads when you're marketing to a mobile home shopper. And I did say click to call, but I just wanted to call out that's not an actual feature. It's just really putting your phone number in the ad, literally typing it in, and the phone does all the back-end work. So there was a couple questions that came in about that, so I just wanted to clarify. All right, so next slide, Jeff.
We're going to be talking quite a bit about video in the next few slides. I just wanted to share a personal zero moment of truth story related to video, and it doesn't have anything to do with real estate, but my wife and I adopted a dog about 7 or 8 months ago, and we have a very, very energetic puppy at home. And my wife was really trying to figure out a way that we can keep the dog occupied while we're not home without having her, tear up our couches and our floors and everything else. So she went online. She was looking for a toy that would keep her active. She went to Amazon. She read a bunch of reviews about different toys. She settled on the Kong Wobbler. She read all the reviews. She thought it was a great product, but she didn't really understand how it worked or how big it was. So she went on YouTube. She watched about 5 or 10 videos of dogs actually playing with this specific product, and then went back to Amazon and decided to make her final purchase. So that all happened in a 10 to 15 minute window, whereas in the past you would, take a trip down to PetSmart, you'd look at the toys, you don't know if your dogs like them or not, you make the decision, and then you might have made a great decision, or you might have to go to PetSmart and try something else. So I know a dog toy, buying a $15 dog toy is not similar to purchasing a house, but it shows that people want to interact and view videos online, whether it be for a dog toy or for real estate. And when we did our research, we saw that the thing that customers are looking for most when they're viewing real estate videos is community tours. They want to find out more about the city that they might be living in. And then following that is virtual home tours. And one thing that I think is great about creating a community tour is that it can live in YouTube or on your website for a long time. You can do a community tour and it can last 2 or 3 years. That content is very valuable. And make sure you put your phone number and contact information on that throughout the video. But when you do a virtual home tour, we suggest that you treat it like your listings. So you can take the time to do video of the home, But when that home sells, take it off YouTube, take it off your site. The last thing we want to do is provide a poor customer experience where someone is contacting you, say, oh, this is my dream home. I saw the video that you put online, and then you have to say, no, that home's no longer available, and it's because you didn't keep on top of your videos.
Great, thanks. I think this is a really important, so just to kind of summarize, what we see when we're looking at these statistics, or these aren't actually statistics, but rankings, is that, all right, people that are using video, all the people that are out there home shopping using video, if we're going to focus our time and energy on a certain type of video, it really would behoove us to focus on community-type tours, ones that will last longer, and then also Google's going to reward us by that, because then we're constantly keeping new and relevant content up, right? Because don't they constantly? I mean, do we actually get penalized if we don't stay on top of our videos and our ads that are outdated? And does Google do things to not reward it, being from Google?
You won't get penalized by Google. You can put a video on the site, and it will stay there, forever, as long as the content's clean and safe. But I think you will get penalized by your customers, and it'll create a poor experience. The community tours are great because it's a way to interact with customers that are doing their research online, and you're connecting with them as the expert for your town or city. So they know that you know about the schools, they know you know about what local activities are available, the restaurants, the parks, the communities, and it's really the first time that they might be interacting with an agent in a video experience, and you become the expert online.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I appreciate it.
So I also wanted to focus a little bit on where real estate customers are watching video. So 51% are going to YouTube, and then roughly 41% are going to brokerage websites. So that what this tells me is if you're going to upload your video to your website, also make sure to put it on YouTube, because that's where a lot of people are searching, whether it be for community tours or home tours, but make sure you're relevant on both. And once again, treat it like your listings and take them off once they're sold. Great. So this brings us to section 2 of the deck, and what we really want to do here is follow the online research customers offline, and after or during their research or after their research, how are they connecting with an agent, and how are they getting to that final point of sale? And this is the stimuli that I talked about earlier in terms of why people may want to buy a home or purchase a home. And what I see here is that there's no overarching reason why someone might want to buy a home. So there's, it could be job related, it could be affordability, it could be retirement. There's so many different reasons why, and it's critical that you make sure your marketing message covers all of these different avenues that someone may take.
Jeff, one of the things I think, as we get into we put the caps of our listeners on here in marketing, in adjusting their marketing messages based on what we're seeing on the screen here, is based on what you said, there's a variety of things. So there's really not an overwhelming thing that we should be focusing on that what buyers are really gravitating towards. So are you saying we need to, when we market ourselves and think about marketing our business and trying to cast a wider net, we should really try to be diverse as possible with different search terms and different types of basically who we're attracting? Is that what you're saying here?
Yes, it's definitely important to cast a broad net, and we call these, at Google, we call these life moments or life-changing moments, and you want to make sure you're targeted to all of them. You don't want to miss the 8% of people that are moving because there's a change in their family situation. That's a big portion of the market, and we want to make sure we're covering off on everyone.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. So what's this next?
So this next slide really focuses on, it takes the average home buyer roughly 3 months to purchase a home, but before they ever contact an agent, they're usually spending 3 weeks of online research before they ever reach out to the agent, whether it's a buyer who used an agent, a first-time home buyer, or repeat buyers. And I thought the repeat buyers section was really interesting because agents do a great job of building up clients and repeat business, but there's still that research period that occurs where even though I have a great agent that I'm going to reach out to, I still want to do my own research and find out about what I'm actually interested in before contacting them.
I think that's really interesting. I actually recently read the 2012 Home Buyer and Sellers Report that this study pulls from as well. And one of the other things I think is really interesting about repeat buyers / past clients is that basically when you take a poll of people, and I don't know if you guys have read the stat, but I find it really interesting and totally aligning here. When you take a poll of people that recently purchased a home through their agent, and 9 out of 10 of them, basically, it was like 86% said that, yes, they would absolutely use that agent again, they loved them, but yet when you looked at the numbers of how many actually did, that number fell to like 14%. It was a crazy drop-off, and I think it's because we're just not doing a very good job of staying in touch with our clients. So I think this is a really interesting opportunity in ways that we can all improve our marketing message. Is there anything else this screen is telling us?
I think that's really it on this screen. The next slide flows really well into the same type of conversation. So when we actually look at length of time to conversion or contacting an agent, we see that 78% of home shoppers visit at least 3+ sites before taking action or reaching out to an agent or submitting a lead form or whatever it may be. But we have this varied window of time. So some make an action on the same day that they start their research, but multiple people take 30, 60, 120 days before they actually go out and contact the agent. So it's extremely important that you stay relevant and that they're seeing your listings and your information throughout that long window and period of time to make sure you're top of mind.
That's great. And I think also if you're in front of people, you have to have a way of capturing them. So that's where the lead capture comes in and having that consistent marketing message in front of them. So I'm going to launch another quick poll here. I'm curious of the people on the call if they've really started not just thinking about these concepts, but if you've actually implemented this in your business already. If you have a way of staying in touch in front of your newly captured contacts, new prospects over the long term. So let me launch a quick poll and let me see, are you actually implementing this strategy in your business currently to take advantage? Yes if you are, and no if you're not. And it's okay to be honest here. We all have room for improvement. That's what spring is all about. It's about making changes and adjusting from there. So, and this again is asking, basically, do you have a way of capturing people and keeping in touch with them early in the process before they're really ready to raise their hand and directly go out and look at homes with you or engage in a listing appointment? All right, so let's go ahead and close the poll really quick and share what our audience says. What do we see, Jeff?
So it looks like 59% of you said yes, and that you do have a long-term plan for interacting with your clients and getting to them before they're actually ready to reach out to an agent, and 41% of you said no. So really that would be another takeaway. Focus on that long-term client prospect and getting in front of them before they reach out to an agent for the first time. And we talked about the screens that our people are using and making sure you're hitting the marketing on those screens.
Thanks. I think it's a really important point. Appreciate that, Jeff.
So this last slide, and it's something we talked about a little bit earlier, goes through when people are doing their online research, what is important to them offline, and how are they connecting with agents, or are they open houses, or whatever it may be. And what's probably not surprising to you, and I think very important, is that there is nothing more important to the customer than the agent when transitioning from that online research phase to the final home sale. And they're contacting and working with agents frequently to go from the research to the sale section, or to the final sale. And I just think that's really important. And it's important to remember that these online engaged customers still are looking for agents to help them with the final sale of the home.
That's great. So one of the things I think is going to be important, Jeff, is that you just You gave us, I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. One of the things I think that will really help everyone on the call, because you just went through an amazing study, years of research, and a lot of time and effort. So what should people really be focusing on as key takeaways at the end of today's presentation that you think they can implement today and really leverage to improve their business, especially going into that spring selling season?
Sure. So remember that 90% of media consumption is screen-based, and matching your marketing to your consumer behavior is extremely important. Remember that mobile is key in the buying decision and the researching of real estate, and that you want to make sure you're relevant and easy to find on a mobile device, that things are short and sweet, and if you're going to create videos or videos for mobile devices, make sure they're short. We see a steep drop-off when videos go beyond 1 or 2 minutes. People just want to see the next thing. They've gotten a good idea. And what I would say here is make sure if you create a video, your contact information is on that video throughout. Because you might have someone look at 90% and love the house, but you don't display your information until the last 10% of the video, and they never see it. They don't know who to reach out for to see that house in person. And remember the 0 moment of truth. Customers start researching online very early, before they are ready to talk to you or before they're ready to interact with an agent. It's key that you have a marketing plan to get in front of them at that time, to be highly relevant, and that's where a lot of your high-quality leads are going to come from. And those would be my recommendations to everyone on the call today, and that's really, you know, if you take anything away, take these top 3 points away.
All right. Thanks so much, Jeff. This is really, really valuable information, and we so appreciate your time and being here to share with us and letting us pepper you with questions along the way. So just before we wrap up and go to live Q&A, where you get to ask Jeff your questions live as a thank you for being on this call, I just want to tell you really briefly about Market Leader. We're the ones hosting this call. So one of the things and how we tie in really nicely with this subject is Jeff was talking a lot about, you know, it's the importance of being in front of people early and not just having a mobile presence, but having a screen-based presence and an internet presence. So one of the things we do at Market Leader is we do enable you to either we teach you how to fish for leads and get them yourself, or we have a fantastic advertising team where we can generate leads for you. We build you a lead capture website that happens to be mobile optimized as well. And then we also drive them and integrate them into an integrated contact management system that engages the leads, so you can follow up quickly throughout their timeline, no matter if they're short-term, long-term, you name it. We have automated drip and email and direct mail campaigns as well, so you're not stuck spending your Sunday nights licking envelopes and stamps. And then we also provide you deep insight tools. So you can tell who's online right now, who's getting ready to buy, by looking at the number of homes they're viewing and saving. So it's a really fantastic integrated solution that's really propelled many agents and brokers' businesses forward. Our #1 goal aligns with your goal, which is all about enabling you to sell more homes. So we do that with lots of continued training and education, just like these classes, whether they're about Market Leader or in this case about Google, and helping keep you in the forefront of your industry and learning. So thank you so much for being here, and now I think we're going to open up to live Q&A. But if you are interested in learning more, we'd love to hear your ideas for future topics and future webinars. If you loved this Google topic, you want to hear more about Google, or if you want to dig deeper into maybe a portion of this study about how to create an effective community video or how to capture people earlier in the process, please fill that out in the survey at the end of the call. We'd really appreciate your ideas. And then, of course, if you're interested about learning more about Market Leader, if you're not already a current Market Leader customer, and if you're an agent, there's a phone number on your screen. It's 888-820-4778. You can call and learn more about what we do to help you. And if you're a managing broker and a team owner, we also have a whole suite of services and products for you as well. So that number is 877-732-0698. All right, so let's take some questions for Jeff. And so just type them into your chat. My team, my chatting team, is working really hard to try to keep up with all of your questions, and you've been asking a lot of great ones throughout the way. So let me start with some of the earlier questions. One, and this is one I think directed for Market Leader, Jeff. This is, does Market Leader have a mobile app? We have something even better. It's not even an app that people have to download. Our mobile-enabled or mobile optimized websites automatically convert and detect a mobile device. So if you go to the lead capture website we build for you, so if you sign up with Market Leader, let's say you're an agent, then the website we build for you, if you go from your PC, it'll keep it in the PC format. But if you basically visit your website through your mobile phone, it'll detect that you have a mobile device and automatically switch and convert to that format. So it makes it really easy for you and your customers, and you're not having to market different types of things to get them to change their behavior. So, yeah, and some people are like, I'm a customer and I didn't know that. Yep, we do that for you. Okay. This is a great question. How do good photos of a home compare to video tours of a home in popularity for buyers? Can you take that one, Jeff?
No, that's a great question. And one of the things we see is a lot of times we'll see people put videos together using photos. And I think that's an idea that definitely works. I don't have any statistics on how great photos match up to great video or video tours, but I do know this, that if you are taking photos, take a lot of them, take them from multiple angles on each room. What we see is people who are searching for videos of a specific property, they want to see more detail. So if you have one photo of the kitchen, they might not be able to see what the appliances are, what's around the nook in the corner, what does it look like in the pantry. Those are things that video can help you answer with those customers.
Okay, and I think along that same line, Jeff, Courtney had a question, a follow-up question. Do you think a video that contains a slideshow of photos with a voiceover would be as effective as an actual video? What do you think?
It's hard to say. I think it's definitely relevant to customers, and being able to explain each of the rooms as a slideshow goes on, I think adds more content and more perspective for the customer, which is great. I do think, one thing I didn't mention before is you can take quick video. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars creating videos for each walkthrough that you do of a home. If you take video on a Handycam or on your cell phone and really try and piece it together nicely, when you upload that into YouTube, it has some features where if you're handshaking or it's not steady, YouTube will recognize that and say, do you want us to smooth this out for you? Make it a little easier for the customer to view or to the viewers to view. And so I think it's a mix. I think if you only have photos and you're not able to do a video walkthrough, then having that voice overview would be great, or that overlay would be great.
Great advice, Jeff. Thank you. Where can we find, and this is from Helen, where can we find good examples of community tours? So I know you mentioned YouTube. Would we maybe, and I think it might be helpful to just search on YouTube, right, for relevant community names that we know of in our neighborhood and see what our competitors are doing? Or do you know of any other ideas?
Honestly, in the real estate space, we haven't seen anyone doing it consistently well for multiple communities. So I would say search the communities that you own or operate in. If there is a video in there, see if it's a good video, see if it's high quality, try and understand what that person and the message that they're getting across is. And if there isn't video there, that's a huge opportunity for you to take some time, create the video, become the expert, and now the next time someone searches, they'll be able to find content, and it'll be your content. So that would be my suggestion.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff. And then Jim had a question, and we covered this briefly, but I think it's good to reiterate. So Jim asked, how do you target market to mobile devices? Can you reiterate some of those best practices?
Yes, so I think the question's asking when we're marketing to mobile devices, what are some key aspects that we want to focus on? once again, I think it's keeping things brief. It's being relevant on multiple devices. And one thing at Google in the way a lot of our search works is that we're going to understand if you're on a mobile optimized site or if you're on a mobile device or if you're on a desktop. So we're going to fix that creative based on how the person is searching. So if someone's searching from a mobile device, they're going to get a more brief mobile ad. And if they're on a desktop, they're going to get a separate ad. So you really just want to match up with what your customers are doing and be relevant.
All right, thanks very much. And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but what regions did you conduct your survey in? Was it specifically in California where Google's based, or was it all over, or do we need to look that up later?
We might have to look it up later, but I believe it was national. It was a national survey, and the NAR survey was national. So we didn't focus or hone in on any one particular region.
Great. And then how effective are Google reviews for real estate ranking? What's your opinion on that?
I don't have a whole lot of insight into the rankings on Google or how that impacts organic search or anything like that. So I am actually not qualified to talk on that topic.
Okay, that's great to know too. I mean, we don't want to speak on subjects that we're not the expert on. So let's see here. And there's a lot of different aspects to SEO and Google that. Let's see here. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling through all your awesome questions. Let's see here. Let's try to keep the questions more relevant to the study if we can, because I know we can go off on a lot of SEO tangents. Is this one all right? What is the most valuable, this is a question from Janet, what is the most valuable as an SEO measure for a site? Community pages, article pages, videos? What should we try to concentrate on the most?
So I probably should have been a little more clear about this at the beginning. Technically at Google, we can't speak on SEO rankings and pages. It's all in algorithm that the engineers pretty much run and are responsible for. I would say everything comes down to the quality of your site and what the users are looking for. The better, fresher content will help you succeed in the SEO space.
All right, thanks very much. And this one is from Sean on a community tour video. He asked, where would, let's see here, if you make a community tour video, where would you place it so that people would see it?
I would place it on YouTube. I would place it on your website. I would place it in your blog if you're writing a blog. I would, anywhere I could get that video and share it, I would put it on Facebook, Google+. I'd send a Twitter link to a YouTube page. However you can get people to view that video is extremely important. But YouTube is a great portal, and thousands of the second largest search engine in the world after Google is YouTube. And that's how many people are doing searches every day in the YouTube environment. So make sure you're there and get your video out to as many places as possible. The more people that see it, the better.
All right, thanks very much. Let's see here. So, and one of the things I just wanted to add on to that, and you kind of mentioned this, but you mentioned if you upload it to YouTube, and this is just something for those of us that, little tip for those of us that aren't as tech savvy, if we upload it first to YouTube, it gives us all these different ways to, that are like output channels and codes, like embed codes. So we can then take that video and not have to have the technical expertise of how to host it and post it on a blog or on our website. But usually a lot of sites and a lot of blogs already will take in that YouTube code that you can just put directly on your site. So I know on Market Leader, there's a way of doing it. If you're using your Active Rain blog or the largest real estate blogging community to post, it's really easy to post and host a video that you originally put on YouTube and put directly on that blog. So just a quick tip.
And I'll just add to that, another quick tip is anytime you upload a video, you can look at YouTube Analytics. And basically, if you're embedding that into other sites or on your site or on a blog, you can go into YouTube Analytics for that individual video, understand where people are dropping off or where people are most engaged, but you can also drill down to how many people viewed this through the YouTube portal? How many people viewed this through an embedded link that I may have put on a blog or something like that? So it gives you insight not only to after you upload a video, but how are people watching it and how can you optimize around that experience. So if people are watching it through embedded links, make sure you make that a key focus when putting your next video out there.
All right, we have a question on mobile here, and great questions, everyone. Keep them coming in. We have Jeff booked through the full hour, so we've got another 10 minutes as long as your questions are relevant to the study. Let's see here. Mike said, did Jeff say that Google will filter the results based upon the device being used? Did you say that?
I said that to a degree. So Google just came out with new technology that when you're doing a search, and this is on the advertising side of Google, so SEO is probably pretty similar, but if I'm searching on a mobile device and I have a mobile optimized site and I have a desktop site, Google will understand that you're on your mobile device. When you click that link, you'll be taken to the mobile page and not to the desktop page. So that is something that we do, yes.
Great, thanks very much. All right, Preston wants to know, this is an interesting question. If Jeff got his real estate license tomorrow, where would he spend his first online marketing dollar?
I would spend it in search. I think, I would spend it where people are telling me they're interested in learning more about a home or purchasing, but if you gave me 2 or 3 or 4 or a couple thousand more marketing dollars, I would spread it across where my customers are viewing information. So I want to make sure I'm relevant. When they're reading an article about real estate, if I have marketing dollars to put next to that article to say, are you interested in real estate, come to Kohl Realty or something like that, that's what I would do. I want to hit them where they're interacting, and I want to be the first person to get that lead, whether they're selling the house or they're looking to buy.
So I think that's great, Jeff, but you're kind of an expert on the hows, on the what keywords to bid on, things like that. So search engine and Google AdWords, I think those are a great way to do it. But what would you recommend for somebody that maybe isn't the expert you are?
I think, there are a lot of ways to connect with experts. Market Leader works in this space, and having someone there to help you is extremely important. And I would say, it takes work and it takes time to really understand what's going on in the digital space and do that research and make sure you understand what's going on. And there's plenty of free information out there on how to get started.
Great, thanks so much. Let's see here. There are other questions that are, you guys are asking so many quick questions, but they're multiple sentences, so it's taking me a while to skim through them. Let's see here. Pam, you had a question. When Jeff said that on average 11 searches are performed before taking action on a site, does he mean that they aren't happy with the terms they search, so they research, or they go to a site 11 times before talking to an agent? And I don't know if, when you study, you probably are studying, based off of the methodology used, it looks like we're studying the click behavior on this site. So we weren't able to actually ask people their motivation or what made them continue looking for sites, correct? Or do we know anymore?
That's correct. It was done through clickstream data. So every time someone clicked, we didn't prompt them with a question of why didn't you convert on this page or something like that. But searching 11 times on average, I don't think is too many times or anything like that. This is just people that they weren't ready to reach out to an agent, maybe because they didn't find the home that they were looking for. There could be multiple factors. Maybe they wanted to see what every brand was offering before they made a decision. It really depends. Someone could search, find out some information, go back a day later, search again, and then it just takes 11 or so times before they're actually converting.
Okay, and then, great, thank you very much. Lexa says, a few years ago, studies were saying, and she didn't say which studies, so if they were conducted by whom, but were saying that the time between the first search for homes until they actually purchased was closer to 8 months. did this study now change that timeline to saying that from first looking for homes to purchase is now 12 weeks? So, and I know I can speak to a portion of this. NAR's data, it's been really specific because with Google, I mean, they're able to track click paths. But I know that at Market Leader, we've even done some recent research on the subject, even as of this last year. And what we found is there's also this other period before people start taking action online called the thinking about it stage. And that can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months. So that really hasn't changed year over year. People still, you know, talk to, like, for instance, when my husband and I decided to purchase, it was at least 2 years before that we started, you know, talking about it, planning, you know, getting our finances in shape, and then before we were actively going online and looking at properties and taking action that way. Do you have any other things to add on here to what Alexa was asking?
No, I think you did a great job. I think it's depending on the way you cut the data and the way you look at it, you might see different results. The biggest takeaway there is the window is extremely long. For some people it's shorter than others, but engaging with those customers throughout that home buying process, whether it be a week or 8 to 12 months, is extremely important.
Okay, great. So let's see here. There's some other great questions here. Let's see here. On Google Now, so this is a question from Abraham. We haven't had a question from Abraham, and this isn't on the study, Abraham, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to answer this one for you. But on Google Now, Google will only be showing homes on Zillow. So what chance do small realtors have on Android devices with that partnership? Are you able to speak on that subject? And I'm asking because I truly don't know.
That's something that changed recently. I would say it's right now we're using Zillow data, but it's definitely not an exclusive relationship. So I don't want to speak on it more than that, but there is opportunity for that to change.
Okay, thanks very much. Would pop-ups be prudent to consider on other sites? So do you think it's a good idea for them when they're investing in online marketing for real estate to do like pop-ups and invest in little pop-ups for totally unrelated businesses like furniture companies, etc.? This is a question from Anita.
And pop-ups, are we talking about pop-up ads or?
I think that's what she means.
Okay. So one at Google, we don't really do the pop-up ads where you get a new window or anything like that. But I think it is important you can contextually target and provide advertising next to furniture stores. And what we've seen, customers interested in real estate are also highly interested in DIY, finance, and also mortgages. So those are all great places to connect with customers because you know they're interested in purchasing a home if they're looking at some of those things.
All right. All right, another question from Preston. I love it. Does Jeff have, and this has to do with YouTube, okay? So does Jeff have a recommendation of using the YouTube text overlays on videos, or would you recommend integrating any text into the video, such as the name, community name, phone number, etc.? What do you think?
I think doing both is a great idea. I think text overlays work really well, and for people that don't know is when you're watching a YouTube video, you might see a small text overlay that says, you know, to find out more about this property or whatever the call to action is. It gives the customer an opportunity to click on that link and be taken to your actual page to learn more about that home. So I think overlays are great. But even if you don't use overlays, you should also always include all your contact information and some text about the home. Now, don't make it overwhelming to the point where it's taking up the entire video, but make sure they know where to look if they're interested in that home. Or if you've done a great community video and they want to talk to you about the market in that particular area.
Okay, great. And there's some background information on the methodology of the study here. That's from Waco. Apologize if I didn't say your name right, Waco. But did the study segment customers by demographics or psychographics? And can you speak to behavioral or attitudinal differences by age or income? So did this study, focus on people in the luxury market? I assume that's where this is coming from, because Waco says I'm particularly interested in how the affluent might be different.
So I don't think we looked at affluent versus middle class versus non-affluent, but this study did include a lot of demographic information in terms of age ranges, people looking at foreclosures versus first-time home buyers, and a lot of that is going to be shared with you in the final presentation that Market Leader sends out, in the next few days. And go through the presentation again in detail because there is going to be a lot of information that we didn't cover here just because of time, and I think it gives you a lot of insight into the demographics of the customers that were part of this survey and this research.
All right, so we just hit the hour. So can we give Jeff a big virtual round of applause here for taking time out of his busy day to share with us and to be here as our support network and our key go-to guy for questions. And it's been a joy working with you, Jeff. Thank you so much, and you've been a really great resource for our team here at Market Leader as well. Thanks for being here.
Thanks a lot, Shannon. It's been great, and thank you everyone that attended.
All right, so as I mentioned before, please fill out the survey. If you fill out the survey, then we're able to know who you are, and we can get you the information we promised. So that'll show up as soon as we close the webinar, which I'll do in about 2 seconds here. So everyone have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you on more webinars.